This is a place where we're going to have a patient conversation, something that most politicians in Delhi are find quite unique. So we're going to spend time, we're going to listen to nuances, and we're going to sort of allow the FM to really speak her mind and her heart. Nirmala ji, it's been an incredible journey, an absolute incredible journey. 6 budgets in a row. Everybody in the whole world is looking at India now. Rural consumption finally picking up. You're seeing, foreign capital flows happening. You're seeing, you've 7% 3 years in a row. Everything is lining up so beautifully. Is there anything that's keeping you up at night?
Thank you. Thank you for holding this in Bangalore. And I would want this happening in Bangalore, not just with me, with very many others,
Wonderful.
More often.
Wonderful.
Your question, what keeps me from sleeping in the night? I don't want to sound too short. May not be domestic issues, may not be issues related to India's supply chain, within India, inflation, within India factors which may disrupt, within India input costs, no. There may be issues domestically. But what worries me is how things would change externally. Is it the war, not 1, 2? Is it the uncertainty, Red Sea? Or is it just going to end? Or is it going to fester? Those are the things. The crude oil price today, tomorrow, natural gas price today, tomorrow, fertilizer price today, tomorrow. Those are the worries.
But you have navigated Russia and Ukraine, I would say, particularly brilliantly. Obviously, all countries will posture and all that, but if you talk off record to the people who know, they say the way we have played this is actually quite outstanding, because we managed the US relationship and we've been able to kind of, sort of benefit, in a sense, not benefit is the wrong word, but we've been able to deal and trade with Russia in a way that's kind of been good for our economy.
I think the underlying point there is, without compromising on national interest and without in any way hurting the Indian economy, if sound arguments have been placed with each of them, whether it's the Western Bloc nations, those expressions of bloc no longer hold good after Cold War. But still I'm saying, whether it is developing countries, the global south, or the developing or developed countries, or specifically whether it is US, whether it's Russia, whether it's Japan, I think the personal kind of relationship, one may say in diplomacy there's no personal relationships, but yet chemistry works, right? If leadership has such chemistry with their counterparts, you're able to reason out in favor of your country. And that's where I think truly our Prime Minister has strenuously built up relationship with each of the leaders, that at any point he's able to seek time, take the phone, talk to them, explain why he wants a certain thing done in our country's interest, and certainly not to hurt anybody else's interest. When that argument gets put effectively, and that argument comes from an elected leader with mass support for him, and who is building a stable economy with predictable policies, it shows results. And that, I would think, is the reason why we were able to comfortably outside, but the number of times the phones had to be worked. But it is that energy which PM has put into this whole thing, otherwise it wouldn't have been possible.
And somewhere China faltering also has helped us, right?
I wouldn't want to put it that way. See, if you've built India's strength over a certain number of years, decades, and so on,
yeah. You're ready to
despite the 10 years of, lost decade, as I would want to call it, despite the 10 years, and why am I saying that? It's not political prejudice. every indicator showed Indian economy was in tatters. You could not talk about the balance sheet related issues. They were twin balance sheet problems. Your economy was fragile. Not just fragile, it was from the bottom, the fifth. And your banks had nothing to speak about. Industry truly was shifting its balance sheet. Today somebody asked me somewhere, you know, what are you not concerned about big families, the HNIs going out? I said, I differentiate between HNI families going out from HNI businesses going out. HNI businesses were going out in 2013-14. So when the economy was in tatters and when that was the situation, you do realize that there's so much to do, and you get into that, and that's how you built the economy in the last 10 years. So you're today reaching a stage where you can aspire for more. So the pointed question that you asked me, which made me stray this far, was
China faltering.
So when in the 10 years, you had made sure the twin balance sheet problem has become twin balance sheet advantage. Reserve Bank's words. Companies now have leveraged the benefits that were given in terms of taxation, and they have made sure that all their bad loans and everything else have been negotiated out. They are in a position to expand. They are in a position to look for joint venture partnerships. Economy is already fit and proper to run. When countries, therefore, given that circumstances in India, and say circumstances in, besides India, Indonesia or Vietnam, and when for different reasons, when countries want to get out of, let's say, China, they have just not a Vietnam and a Indonesia, they have a big market as a captive audience, big market holding India. So it is not just attracting people for, hey, come and do business here, but we've created the environment for it, so people have seen that while Vietnam and Indonesia also exist because of their efficiency, the market structure, ease of doing business and everything else, India comes with an added advantage of a large market, an efficient middle class which has money to do necessary real-time purchases. So they come in.
Ma'am, in the first 10 years, and particularly after the COVID, you navigated it pretty well. And last 3 years has been terrific, 7% plus growth. And government also did the heavy lifting in terms of capex, really pushed up the capex, and you still maintained a fiscal deficit. Given what you did with this mandate, what is next set of agenda reforms that you have in mind? If it is like, say, some people say 300 becomes 400 in the next term, so what is it that you have in mind to push it further?
Well, I think you can rest assured about the way in which Prime Minister Modi handles the economy. As a Chief Minister in Gujarat and as a Prime Minister now for 10 full years, you have consistently seen that he takes an approach of government as a whole, system thinks, system meaning government as an organization thinks together. It doesn't work in silos. So if you brought in a policy, it actually gets grounded because all concerned are working towards the same goal. There are no pulling and pushing or people moving in different directions. With that kind of a work culture, the one emphasis is on system reforms. Whether you throw out unnecessary laws, whether you remove those rules which are bothering you, which are becoming an instrument in the hand of rent seekers. Everything that is done looking at the opportunities. Remember that even during COVID lockdown, when we were announcing 5 mini budgets within 1 year, the emphasis was still on reforms. Even as we announced a package, we were undertaking 2 or 3 major system reforms. So the next generation reforms will certainly be on track.
Ma'am, just to take it forward, yesterday also in a FICCI event, you did talk about the factors of product.
So I just want to take one question. You said 300, 400, I want to come back. Nirmala ji, what is it that, Ruchir Sharma did an Adda with us about a year ago, and he said this election is going to be Modi versus Modi. What can you do, or what is it that you will do with 400 that you couldn't do with 300? I mean, is there something that's going to change?
In fact, thank you for taking me on that route. I was going to address Vaidi's question on that. Did you need I'm not for a moment indicating that I don't need my 370, I don't need 400 par, not at all. But haven't we shown that even with Lok Sabha majority but no numbers in Rajya Sabha, we've still cleared quite a few bills which we easily clear in Lok Sabha, but we resent out in the Rajya Sabha and managed to pass it. Otherwise, do you think a bill like Article 370 removal would have happened? When you put across reason, of course it's a bit of a tussle, but you can still convince people. People see your point. But of course, if you have better numbers, it's all the better. The speed with which more and more major activities can be undertaken will happen if the numbers are better. And I would strongly take this opportunity to say it is only because of the continuity, the stability in policy, the predictability in the taxation, and the inclination towards greater reform, greater transparency, and absolutely no whisper of corruption that has made India attractive. You think at this stage, having very clearly identified that India should become developed, not because anybody wants to wear that label on one's shoulder. India deserves better. Our next generations deserve better. We missed the bus several times before. We can't. And it is because of that. Good numbers, good strength in the houses, both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, will help India. And there cannot be a temptation now to experiment with, can it be a coalition government? Can it be a lesser number government? Can it be this? No! It is such a critical time for India. They cannot be playing around with the numbers. We need the strength in the house.
Ma'am, particularly when you talked about the second generation reforms and,
Next generation.
Next generation.
Many
I
second
think
has,
many have.
second is gone.
Yeah. The next generation reforms. And you did talk about land and labor as well. And kind of we also realize that land and pushing through land reforms as well as labor reforms are critical. In the first 10 years, there have been issues with land and labor, particularly farm laws also got stalled, and we realize that these are critical. So in terms of just the negotiations or discussions or kind of consensus building, is there an innovation possible?
First of all, I would appeal to the media to look at India, which is now moving so fast. And many that which can earlier, in the earlier perception, many which were thought as, oh, this has to be done by Government of India, are now happening at the states. So I would want media also to look at the responsibility of both the center and states to get into this traction to move fast and move forward. So everything is not in the court of the union government. Throw it at them and say, prove farm laws that you can pass. You withdrew it now. Do it now. That approach of the media is a bit jaded. Media also should think innovatively, because what is otherwise possible through various state governments can be done at that level. There are issues which are very peculiar to some states. I don't want to pick up on an example. There are n number of them. But the moment I pick it up, reading between the line, you may want to ask me, oh, does that mean? No. I don't want to mean anything, because reading between line is not my type of talk. But it is for you all to understand. Many things are happening in the states, and many states are doing it in such speed. It's going to set the track for many others to follow. So it need not always be the center who does it.
Yeah. States can push through the...
Absolutely. The consensus can come through the states.
Yeah.
I'm getting into a minefield, but I'm getting into it deliberately, knowingly. And I want to talk about this only because I want the media also to talk somewhat on these lines as well. Uttarakhand passes UCC. 1,000 questions, oh, how can this happen? How live-in relationship, this, that. UCC has been in Goa since, I think, 40 years. Will any one media house quote it and say, let's have a discussion now? No, it's only looking at it because Uttarakhand is a BJP government. Ask them these questions. Please, I want the public of India to have a greater, meaningful, informed debate on issues rather than color it right from the beginning. Virtues exist in all colors.
You said a minefield. I take you to a slightly different minefield, but it's still something because we're in Bangalore, we should sort of, it keeps coming up. Center state came up right now. Center state, specifically Karnataka. That is one of the issues that comes up, that states are upset with the center for not sharing as much tax as they used to. States are upset with the center for, especially South states, and it's a political sort of, rhetoric that somehow seems to catch, that, that the center is unfair or unfavorable to the South states. How do you have you thought this through? And
yes, I have. And I feel sad for the people in those states. It's one thing to have concerns voiced, which many of them are genuine. I come from here, meaning belong to Karnataka, representing Karnataka, born in Tamil Nadu, married in Andhra Pradesh, started my political career in one Andhra Pradesh which included Telangana, but today I may represent Karnataka. There are positives and points of achievement for all states in the south. Well done. There are issues which, because of the weightage that the Finance Commission gives for each one of these factors, have you achieved education, these, have you got forest cover, what kind of a population stabilization has happened. So each one has a certain weightage. Now when southern states sit with the Finance Commission, the elected governments during those periods, when they sit with the Finance Commission, they'll have to highlight and speak about it, surely for the Finance Commission to see what kind of a weightage will then help. Or if the weightages are going to be such that it may not help in certain particular indicator. Across the board, I'm not saying performing, non-performing states. There are states which perform in one indicator better than the others. In some other states perform. So if each of the southern states, for their own uniqueness, for their own strengths, if they put the arguments well and convincingly with data in their hand, more to promote their own strengths and highlight the challenges that they face, the Finance Commission is going to come up with a formulation. Now, in this, and I repeat in this, central government has no role to play except for obeying the Finance Commission. Finance Commission tells me you give this much per month, this much, I have to do it. There's no way in which any finance minister, leave alone me, any finance minister can tweak it in favor of one or the other. Even the wickedest finance minister can't do it because it's all there.
But you,
okay. So then, if southern states, and I don't want to club them as southern states, each one has its own strength, and it's also now getting into those very, very dangerous threshold of southern states together. We'll have you had a responsible member of parliament, brother of the deputy chief minister of Karnataka, say we'll have a separate southern states. I mean, it cannot go to that extent. I'm sorry, I can't be with that. I'm coming from the southern state. I cannot for a moment stand next to anybody who says, we in the southern states then demand. It cannot be that. So that is what I'm worried about. And it's not the central government. You can always tell me, give a favorable terms of reference. No, I can't give favorable or against any state. What is provided by Constitution, this time particularly, I've kept it to the minimum, so that the Finance Commission takes a call. States, please sit with the Finance Commission, work it out.
But do you accept that there is a grievance which has there's some founding to this grievance?
Yes, but I want you to segregate each state.
Yeah,
Don't,
Fair.
when you ask me that
Yeah.
question and I say yes,
Yeah, it's not all
tomorrow's headline will be, Finance Minister agrees with the southern states that all southern states together have a, no please.
No, fair. Because it's a structural issue, right, Vaidhi, that there's the population drops.
Yeah. So
The replacement
The
number.
population drops and
Wait a minute.
with education, you're actually disincentivizing them to educate in a sense, right, in this structure, because with
Yes, but at the same time, look at the mobility of labor.
okay.
The contribution of not so performing states' labor coming here and working here. Are we then got to say, hey, please remain where you are, I'm getting cheap labor? There are very conflicting ways in which you can interpret this data. And then say, migrant laborers, don't please come to my state. Then the cost of production for your work is going to go up also. So let's calibrate this debate. Let's not really club all the southern states together, or let's not put it black and white. More money to us. I've been saying this repeatedly, I'll repeat one line of it. Bangalore should now then say, I'm not provoking you. Bangalore should now say, hey, we are the ones contributing to Karnataka. Don't give money to Chitradurga. Don't give money to Kalyana Karnataka. We are the ones, for every rupee that we are giving you as tax, give it back to us. Is that going to work? Is that going to help? Let's have a recent debate.
Yeah, that's a very fallacious. Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't make sense. Ma'am, one thing which many states say is about the cesses, which have grown, say, 5 times in absolute terms over the last 10 years, and also as a percentage of gross tax revenues from 5% to 10%. So that if it becomes part of the total resources which government can share, that is not in the hands of the Finance Commission. Can the government address that, or is there a case to look at it?
Would you then change the Constitution, please? Constitution permits me to levy cess. Constitution permits me to levy surcharge. For everything else, Constitution, but on this, no Constitution. Get that surcharge and cess also into the divisible pool. Please, let's go talk about it in the Parliament and change the Constitution. Central government has every right to have levies such as surcharge and cess. One. Second, when I subsidize train travel, when people from Bihar come to Karnataka, or when people from Karnataka go to Kashi, Badrinath, they take ordinary trains and go. They are subsidized, aren't they? Common people want to travel. Who subsidize it? Karnataka to the border of Maharashtra, Karnataka subsidizes. Maharashtra to the border of Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, is that it? No, that's not how it works. Central government puts the money for the railways, puts the money for the highways, puts the money for the roads, puts the money for the ports, builds this beautiful terminal and that wonderful statue of Kempegowda ji. All central government money. Where do I get that money from? 41% given off to states from the divisible pool. With the rest, I should do all this. Also give the centrally sponsored schemes, central sector schemes. I need money. And just go back to the 14th Finance Commission, Y.V. Reddy ji's commission. Whilst it gave the 41%, meaning from 32 to 41, 42 it was first, after J&K it became 41. It said you may cut down on the central sector schemes, bring the CSS down, you don't have to spend the money on it. Prime Minister Modi did not reduce the central sector schemes. Money still goes in that route also. So those who are talking about, hey, look at what Finance Commission said, should also say, I'm asking you for more, but you may cut down the central sector schemes as said by Finance Commission. Did any one state say that to me? No, 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 no. How can this work?
Let's change gears a bit from central issues to Bangalore issues because the first. So, just to start with, I mean, from your sort of vantage point in North Block, Delhi business people, Bombay business people, how is Bangalore business community different from these two cities?
They're too decent. They're quiet.
Really? That's taking the time for an applause? I mean,
it's all right if Delhi listens to us, it's fine, but we can't be bothered going to Delhi. But because we are all very tech savvy, we'll go about tweeting, hey, central government, you're not doing this. You don't take care of Bangalore. We are next California. Once. Second time you don't get a response. We are taxpayers, honest taxpayers. We give so much. Why are you not listening to us? Can't do this. Tag Prime Minister. Right? Very powerful, guys. So, Delhi businesses think they're very close to Delhi. They can come from Noida, they can come from Gurgaon. They come meet and go. But Bengaluru doesn't budge from beautiful Bengaluru, cool Bengaluru. Climate-wise, it's brilliant. Who wants to come to Delhi? Cold winters, polluted Delhi, hot summers, sweaty summers. No coming to Delhi. But my God, I have the power of the social media. Thrash the government. Decent guys, but very powerful guys.
but in Bangalore, one thing that, obviously you said tech and all of that, do you feel like they are sort of up to the task of artificial intelligence? I mean, how much are you sort of relying on?
No, they're brilliant. And the way in which Bengaluru and its immediate surroundings have given space for all kinds of startups to work. They may be focusing on agriculture, innovation on, fintech, or innovation on medical treatments, innovation on biomix, innovation also on the various kinds of technology which can be used in AI, the tools that you get out of AI, innovation on drones, aerospace. Bangalore has done brilliantly on startups. There's no way you can bring another one to compete with Bangalore. All right, Hyderabad and Noida have seen the virtues of getting the startups. They're also doing well.
And from Maharashtra, I'll add Pune to your list.
Yes, Pune. But still, it's going to take a bit of a while for them to catch up with Bangalore.
So if you're
But Bangalore has to be careful now. It's like a race. You reach the top. That is one struggle. But to stay at the top is another struggle. And any small thing, sentimental or other things, can disturb that peace. We need to be extra cautious.
Ma'am, since you said this, this Paytm, some issues with Paytm or with, say, Byju's, I'm sure that in a large ecosystem that may not really matter. But you think, what is in your mind? How do you look at this issue? And do you think that probably compliance or corporate governance, those are issues which need much more attention?
I'll just add to, he said Paytm and Byju's, actually the top four, the poster children of the startup ecosystem, are right now in some bit of a spot. Ola's in a particular spot because of, and all for different reasons. Dream11 is in a different spot for a different reason as well. They're all decacons and, they're all the people that all startups kind of aspire and look up to. So I'm just adding these two more names, it's not just two companies, but have you thought about this trend that,
Yes.
some...
I thought about it. Incidentally, I've also had some representation coming to me. Only a couple of days ago, I've had an interaction with startups, particularly the fintech ones, to understand with what anxiety they wrote that letter to me. It was a fantastic conversation. They were very pointed. They voiced each of their concern. But let me, at the upfront, say the concerns were not emanating from Paytm's issues. It was more on regular support that they may need from the regulators, clarifications which are periodically required, because their core business is not governance and compliance related issues. They are fellows who are going about innovating in their respective areas. Yeah. But for keeping the compliance business going, they need to have a team which is looking after it, and that team needs the support. Otherwise, it stresses out those fellows who are doing the innovation. So it really cannot be otherwise. And in that meeting, I was very glad they voiced their concerns. And they may indirectly come out of what is happening to the top four, as you say. But the regulators were all with me, and they have really understood, and they've connected with them. At least I did tell the RBI that once in a month, on a dedicated day, they should do a virtual conference with the startups, fintech, so that they can answer questions, and after that put that as a FAQ, so that others who did not attend it can benefit from it.
You're sounding very empathetic towards their problems, though.
Absolutely, I'm very empathetic, because 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 startups' problems cannot be seen as entire startup world's problems. Yeah. Many of them are doing all right. They may want to have greater levels of comfort from the regulators, which is fine, and we'll provide that. I don't want the sector to have any kind of apprehension that maybe that's going to be my fate as I grow. Gosh, in this country we can't do business. No, no. The government is very much with these startups. We want to be sure that you will be given all assistance, because you intend to carry on with the innovation. The compliances will have to be simplified and will have to be made user-friendly.
One thing that, I mean, particularly in the gaming industry and comes up in other places, one fear, foreign investors also say this, retrospective tax. Now, this sounds like a very Congress era kind of thing, you know, the word retrospective tax. Is that something that's reached you yet? Is it?
No, it's been from the day when we had the first meeting in the GST Council about it, the second day. Strictly speaking, it is not retrospective, Anant. It is very clearly, the notices have gone very clearly on what is extent for that period. So there's no application. I mean, like, leave me. Prime Minister is very clear, we don't want to have any retrospective taxation, and particularly in the gaming and other casinos and other things. How many times the GST Council, to be fair to the Council, yeah, how many times they've had discussions? And to be fair to the Chief Minister of Meghalaya, Conrad Sangma, chair of the group of ministers who handled this matter, twice he went back to start from scratch to discuss this, and then only whatever was accepted was brought in. So it's not for want of work or want of understanding. It's gone through the rigor of so many finance ministers sitting and talking about it to the group of ministers, and then in the entire council. The wisdom of the council cannot be that easily sidetracked and said, have you done something retrospective? Do you think the finance ministers from the states would accept anything that I do, saying, we want it retrospective because we want the money? No.
So is there a, I don't think it's a fear only to a particular sector. I think, like, when you talk to foreign investors, this word retrospective, it still hurts them because it happened a long time ago, but the number was so big. So is there anything that you, I mean,
I would want them to please recall as to who removed the retrospective. Who brought in the retrospective and who removed it? Why do you have that fear now?
But going
forward, people who brought in the retrospective have been thrown out by the people of India. And the people who protested retrospective, even being in the opposition, after coming to power, the first thing they did was to remove the retrospective. And through the parliamentary process. So why have that lingering in your mind even now? You don't trust me? I was the first one, I meaning our government was the first one to remove it. And consistently we've been speaking against it when we were in the opposition as well. So retrospective and us don't go together at all. If some other party was sitting in power today, you may ask them that question, not us. I think it's a front.
An issue which, which we hear a lot, or, which is reported, of course, on jobs. The government also provided almost 1 million jobs in a year. But still for, say, 1,000 jobs, lakhs of people apply. So, but, PLF's government data itself shows that unemployment has come down, which is quite remarkable. But even unemployment numbers which have come down seem to suggest that casual labor and self-employed numbers are getting better, which are not really in terms of wages, they are not very remunerative, or in real terms they have actually declined. So what the jobs issue, how do you tackle it? Because government
so you want us to promote paid job?
No, I'm saying
but your interpretation that self-employed people and those who are doing their own numbers are going up, but in terms of real income is not really as much, it's coming down. Yeah. So are you telling, because that's the status quo, we should now do promotion of job rather than entrepreneurial encouragement?
No, I'm saying that, jobs requires a much higher run rate in terms of growth. That is...
No. Tell me, developed countries, how many of them are dependent on jobs for having reached there? It is a typical understanding in only developing countries. I'm not faulting it. We'll have to pass through stages in development. Unless formal jobs are growing, and growing in proportion with the population growth, because our youth population is something which we talk about as a dividend, and we don't want that to become a drag on the economy if it is not serviced. It is a formulation that you're telling me that you have to just promote more and more formal employed for salary jobs, rather than promote employed for salary jobs will happen. But I will also want India to have sufficient support given for those who want enterprise to grow, who want to employ others, who want to do their businesses. Otherwise, what is this world of startup then? When it is the world of startup, you feel, hello. Whereas other self-employed is not good enough. No, I think people should have the freedom to choose what they want. And what they want to do, it is the government's business to support them, give them credit, give them ease of doing business, give them regulatory framework which is simple, and give them mobility so that they can do their own. And if the numbers there are growing, it's not happy news. But somebody's gone to measure that their real income has gone down, and therefore it's bad news. Vaidyanathan, I'm with you. We need real income also to grow. But it cannot be only dependent on paid jobs for employment. It has to be every combination of so many things.
No, absolutely, I completely agree. In terms of, I was saying that, our demography is also such that there is a bulge. Like, there's 15 to 30 is a large number, and, the jobs are mostly required in that youth segment. And that requires a lot of private investment, etc., which was something which I wanted to ask you also about, that, private investment is something which I think the government has done the heavy lifting post-COVID as well. We're still expecting the private sector to kind of jump in and start. You see that we are on the crux of that. We are kind of almost at that stage. Do you have that sense from people you're speaking with?
Yes, particularly when I attend sessions like those which I did yesterday in FICCI, or when I'm sitting with CII members, I can see that today they are coming out. Again, I don't know if it is also because, only time can say, I don't think I can point a finger at anybody or myself and say we are looking at one end of the world but not the other. There is a lot of investment moving and happening in new sectors, whether it's renewable. Look at the kind of investment which has gone for green ammonia. Look at the kind of money which is going for research in battery and storage for power. Look at the way in which people are looking at semiconductors. Do you think semiconductors in India is still just a matter of talk. I don't want to say till the agreement is signed. There will be something happening even in the Northeast for semiconductor manufacturing. It's a huge ladder. You're manufacturing the first step of it or the second step of it. All of them are semiconductors. You may not be at the top ladder, top rung of the ladder, but you're still doing things. Money is getting invested there. Look at the investment in Rajasthan and Gujarat, for instance, on green hydrogen in Nadu and in Gujarat, particularly in the Kutch area, for solar. These are not small investments, they're huge. And therefore, I would think, when we are looking at private investments which are happening, we should look at the sunrise sector. Also take them on the count. Look at the number of integrated steel plants which are expanding in capacity. Look at the advertisements which are coming from Orissa. You think that's without money investment? We should do a bit more rigorous understanding, work to understand what actually is happening. By the time observers or economy experts come up with the data, we have indications everywhere that things are happening.
Nirmala ji, one last question, get to some audience questions. One of the fears that the business community talks about is this phrase iced. Have you heard this phrase iced before? Iced. I think it's income tax, CBI, ED. The thought is, have you been iced? Is this kind of this new phrase, or I have been iced?
Why? Is it treated as a badge of honor?
No, no. It's a fear. It's a fear, I guess, that's coming.
Fear, iced. Oh, it's cool to hear it. So I thought it's a badge of honor.
Is this fear been communicated to you? Do you feel like there is? Because
yeah, fear gets communicated by sections which hear it from somebody else, who hear it from somebody else, and from political parties. Because there is a element of wanting to be sounding vicarious. Why only opposition leaders? Yeah, no BJP, is it? You're all not corrupt? Yes, we are not corrupt. I'm not saying it jocularly. Tell me otherwise, the media would have left us 10 years free without any corruption gossip. Front page, particularly Indian Express. Front page, corruption in this department would have been the headlines. Has there been even a bottom line somewhere? Suspicion? No. Prime Minister Modi's government is absolutely clean, and I'm happy about it, proud about it. But equally, if it is only going, iced is happening only in opposition-led leaders' places, tell me one place from where they've come empty-handed. They're just not having enough hands to count the wall stacked cash, locker full of gold and silver, and some lockers which are yet to be opened, manpower not sufficient, counting machines getting heated up. We are getting counting machines sent from other parts to say, rush, rush, there's money to be counted. You don't want this to be caught? Agencies should not work? Oh, hey, please don't go another congressman. No, they'll accuse me of only targeting Congress, so don't please go there. Do you want me to say that to my agencies? No, they will go after every fellow who's got black money. Be iced.
Nirmala ji, you answered from a political perspective, but my question was more from the business community perspective. The political piece I'm not even getting into, but the business community piece. Do you feel like there is something that people, you said people are getting houses in Dubai and London, and one of the reasons...
No, I don't mind if they're doing it with white money. Let them get it anywhere. South Pole moon. We've gone there also. Shiv Shakti Sthal. Please buy it with tax-paid money. But if you go with other kind of money, I'll of course be after you. Because another thing, if we don't, and I'm not doing it for fear of, but if we don't, India will be named as or put in the grey list of FATF. FATF, once you are in the grey list, your investments are not going to happen. Nobody is going to come with money into your country. Yeah? So is it better that I don't catch all these people and say, no, I don't want to earn the band name? Let FATF put me in the grey list. Am I doing it only for FATF? No. The first file that Prime Minister Modi and the cabinet did in 2014 was to appoint an SIT, was to go after black money. We will do it. India has to be cleaner. Do with UPI payments, I have no problem. But in this era, with digital connections being what it is, you still want stacks of gold, dealing in cash, unaccounted cash. And business houses, you want me to give an exception?
No, I'm just, by the way, you know that Panama Papers and all these
yes,
were,
you were the one to
express
bring it out.
publications.
Yes.
And I believe that 20,000 crores have been recovered. We got a lot of
information.
We got a lot of flack for publishing these pages.
No, but that helped. Also, the way in which the sharing of information is happening from these tax havens from 2018. And from that, the question was asked, you're getting so much information, put it all out. No. Our understanding is all this information will come. But on who you want to go to the court, and after going to the court is when the information will come. Because again, there was this section which was waiting for salacious gossip. So much came from Switzerland. Put all the list out. We can have daily something, in television debated. Was it A? Was it B? Was it C? No. Everything goes by a certain standard operating procedure. When I go to the court saying this man has taken away this much cash without paying the tax, the court will choose to say it out.
Yeah. It's got better.
So is the Panama Papers. Yeah, it's getting better, I must say.
Some question from the audience. Can we get the first question, Dr. Saluja? Get a mic here, please. Please keep the question a little short. We go to Mr. Alva after that. Can I get a show of hands? How many questions there are in the audience? I can't promise we get to all because
no, I have
has
to.
A flight.
Ma'am, I'm just here to congratulate you the way IRDA is working on the penetration of insurance. It's in last 2 years, and especially last year, it has been absolutely revolutionary. The only thing my suggestion would be, ma'am, the best way forward together is Ayushman with the private insurance companies. That will actually completely take forward the Prime Minister's vision, ma'am.
Thank you.
Jitu? Right, Jitu.
Ma'am, thank you for being here with us, and thank you for all what you're doing for us. All the grey areas are slowly going away in your tenure. My one question was that a lot of corporates, especially in Bangalore, are spending money with the government on infrastructures, like buying metro stations to help participation of income from the private sector to the government, which helps them to improve the infrastructure. Would it be possible to relook at that, not to charge GST when you're contributing to the government infrastructure?
I'll have it discussed in the council.
Yeah. Because actually we are, so as a company, as Embassy Group, we've recently bought a metro station to help the government build the whole metro line in a certain area, which is called Outer Ring Road. And there are 7 stations which are sold to private people. So we actually contributed 100 crores to buy the station. But it's a little painful to pay 18% on 100 crores when you're contributing to the infrastructure of the public.
Nirmala ji, how many requests a day do you
No, but
get?
are you a Section 8 company?
No, we are not.
Okay.
But it was just that on that particular road, the metro wanted, there was some issue that they needed money from the private sector to be raised.
No, I
so
understand.
they didn't have enough contribution from the government.
I understand, but it's a matter which the council will have to take a call on.
Yeah.
I
If you
assure
can
you
just
I'll
please
take it
look
up.
into it, yeah.
I'll take it up in the council.
Yeah, thank you.
Nirmala ji, every day how many requests do you get for GST exemptions from different sectors? Are you keeping count?
But can I share something like...
Please.
I was... I hesitate to say it, but I have to say it. There was this government servant, so he said of himself. He said, I work for the government. I said, yes. And I have a witness, sir. I'm not making a fabricated story. He said, I'm a government servant, but why do I have to pay GST when I go to the hotels? I said, sorry. Then he said, yes, I'm serving the government, so when I go there, why should I pay service tax when I go to the hotels? Then I asked, is it that you're paying this only after the GST came in? Didn't you have to pay a tax when you went to the hotels even before? And by the time I could get the answer, I was off the bus and climbing the ramp to get into the aircraft. So I get such questions as well. So I don't know many a times if people are asking me just to provoke me. I work for the government, so should I pay service tax when I go and have a family gathering and join in a restaurant?
Amazing.
So I don't know. Is it a genuine question, or is it a question to mock at me, or is it a question wanting a genuine answer? So yes, there are types and types and types of questions on GST.
Ms. Alva, yeah. Is there a mic here?
I'm Alva from Candid Technologies. We have seen significant reduction in corruption. Having chaired FICCI, National Committee for MedTech, I think it's chalk and cheese. That's the difference we have seen. What we have, when we talk to the government, if it is within the ministry, things get sorted out. If it has to do with 2 to 3 ministries, it takes very, very long time. And one specific example I can give is when all the ministries have agreed on the PNDT Act for the MedTech, it has taken 8 years and things have not been fixed. The second is on the regulatory. There are multiple regulatory bodies, and which is good for tax collection and other compliance matters. But the tribunals that give justice for these take very long time. I think some of the tribunals don't even start in 6 years. The legal system is also taking a long time. So if the regulatories are empowered and the tribunals and the legal system does not catch up, it's going to be a huge impact, like what Mr. Goenka said, on the industry bodies being victims of this ice. The third thing is on PLI. PLI linked to R&D will bring Atmanirbhar, but PLI linked to just production has got a detrimental effect. Since the question is long, I would like to close it.
On the PLI, leave the PLI. You've got 1 lakh crore given as seed money for R&D in private sector in this budget. We are forming a SPV, and the SPV, and we are giving them 50-year interest-free money, 1 lakh crore, which they can in turn give it to private R&D at whatever cost they choose. So when we are giving it interest-free for 50 years, they naturally will probably be giving you the minimum charge that they can to promote R&D. So we have come up, not just the same PLI route, we have come up with something else new.
We're running short of time. Nirmala ji, a quick rapid fire, short answers. This is going to be a short reel on Instagram, so we're trying to catch the younger audience who doesn't necessarily hear your budget, the full budget at least. And just have fun with it. Jobs, monopolies, privatization, rural consumption, private investment. Which of these domestic issues are you most concerned about?
Private investments.
Russia, Ukraine, Israel, Palestine, or China, Taiwan? Which of these 3 global issues are you most concerned about?
All 3.
All 3. Pranab Mukherjee, Chidambaram, Manmohan Singh, Yashwant Sinha. The one opposition FM's budget that you have studied closely.
I've read all of them closely.
Okay. Your one line of advice to the startup entrepreneur in Bangalore today who wants to be a unicorn. One line.
They're doing fine, and they will reach the level of unicorn. They don't need my advice.
Okay. The one lesson you've learned from China's faltering economy in the last 10 years.
Be India. Be Indian.
Okay. Finance or defense, from which ministry is engaging with Beijing more challenging?
Well, after COVID, I have not had any opportunity to engage with China, so I can't compare.
Okay. Nirmala ji, your sort of yet to be born grandchild comes up to you with her first, or his or her first paycheck and asks you for your advice. What they should do with that paycheck? What would you say?
Save it.
Super. Nirmala ji, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being so candid, for giving us so many headlines. Always wonderful to have you. And thank you to Bangalore for being here for our first Adda. Really special to me. And there couldn't have been a better guest than Nirmala.
Thank you, Anand. Thank you
so much.
very for the fabulous session. May I now invite Raj Kamal Jha, Chief Editor, The Indian Express Group, to present a token of appreciation.